Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 5. Here at this channel we do a different kind of therapeutic review where we get a little curious and we lean into really understanding what's motivating these people as they are learning themselves, learning their spouses, and trying to navigate being married to a stranger. And so I utilize internal family systems in the practice as a therapist. And so we're also using this model to really lean in to say, what's happening here? So we can learn a little bit more about couples, relationships, and even potentially about ourselves. If you are new to this channel, welcome. And if you're returning, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. First, we have Becca and Austin, and they are just, they're in it, aren't they? They just keep moving along, getting along well. They already have like similar shirts as all the couples are, coming together and talking about what they're anticipating and looking forward to in the honeymoon. And they're like, high five, we nailed it. Like, we're kicking butt. We are getting along great, to the point where even some of the other couples were like, wish that could be our story. Wish we could feel that way, right? But they are doing really well. Even to the point where it can be a little bit eerie that they're doing so well, right? Becca said that Austin's morning noises are, just prehistoric. And she's saying that she really didn't ask the experts for someone weird. But at the same time, she's really glad because she's weird. And that just really fits well for her as she's curling her hair and he's feeding her papaya and they're making like papaya noises, and then he's eating fruit in the bathtub. They are having a blast together, and that's really all that matters. And she's really appreciating how he's showing up for her when it comes to her health. He said that he notices that she really tries to put on, really has a part of her that tries to put on like a strong front to really just endure the pain and make the best of it. And he really appreciates this part of her. And Becca also appreciates that he sees that in her and really feels like that's what's helping them to come together and for her to feel really seen in this relationship. They also talked about how their childhoods and how they were parented, how they had pretty like normal childhoods. And Austin said that he was a wild child, and that he also was pretty bored because he was the only child. And he said that he never really wanted or felt jealous about other people who maybe had more siblings, but he did also state that he wants to have 2 or 3 children. Like, notice he didn't say he wanted to have 1. So I do feel like maybe there's a part of him that was like lonely and sad, and maybe too also maybe a reason why he's so extroverted, right? Could be like, oh, okay, when I'm with people, I need to, right, be the life so I can have people around me, because when I get home, it's just me and my parents, right? So that may be why. We don't know. This is just me kind of connecting the dots, but it feels like that's a part of, right, what makes Austin Austin. And we learned from Becca that she did have some kind of like rocky moments she spoke to, like in high school, middle school, but really just a normal childhood. She said that she did kind of grow up semi-privileged and really grateful for that. And she also agreed, well, she said that she is either, it doesn't matter to her of having children or not. And first you could see that Austin had a little concern on his face around that, because he seems like he definitely wants to be a father. But she said she wasn't, either way. And then she said she was going to lean to what her spouse wanted, and saying that knowing that either way she would be happy, and that they wanted to prolong having children for a few years to get to know each other, right? Becca had some challenges with her health, and like getting in the water, it was too cold and causing some discomfort. So she still hung out with him. Like, she meets him, like even he's drinking, but she doesn't drink. So she's still having a beverage, but it's just her mocktail. he's in the pool, she's on the side of the pool, and there's a part of her that felt apologetic or the need to apologize for not being able to be in the water with him, but he's like, hey, it's okay. And then she also was a little adventurous too. It's like, hey, we're going to paddleboard together, and so they're navigating this really well. It really feels like this may be the couple that won't say like eases through the season, but it seems like this couple is really moving forward very nicely to really lean in and get to know each other and accept each other for where they are. So we shall see. Next, we have Emily and Brennan. And so Emily is talking to the other couple, saying that she feels like her expectations have been exceeded with Brennan and that things are going really well. And Brennan stated that, they vibe really well so far. So he's like really feeling great. So far, so good, right? Well, as they continue to get to know each other throughout the honeymoon or these next couple days, we're seeing more and more spaces where, again, they are kind of polar opposites, right? And I am still very curious to how this is going to play out over time. Right now, there's appreciation for it, and we're talking like big talk, like, oh yeah, you can help me with that, right? Or I can help you with that, or we'll compromise. And the jury's still out on how this is going to play out. So Emily stated that they were taking a shower together at the after party. She did disclose that they were in their bathing suits. So they were taking a shower. She stepped out to get some towels and she slipped and fell. And so she didn't share it with Brennan in the moment. And I have a lot of curiosity around that. She said she didn't want to be a fill in the blank. And so she was like power through it or trying not to ruin the moment. And she woke up and couldn't feel her wrist the next day. She said she broke her hand, but it's just unsure. At the after party, she did have like this like a rubber or plastic like cast there to kind of hold her hand in place. So obviously there's something like it's a fracture or something occurred, right, to the point where she was numb. Her hand was numb, and so I'm like, It's like, I'm wondering, like, how do we manage pain? Like, emotional pain and physical pain, sometimes how we manage that looks very similar, right? So she's used to kind of powering through it or dealing with herself, that may be showing up here in this moment. And so they're sharing the story, or Emily's sharing the story with Brennan at breakfast. And he's talking about how what he likes to cook in the morning and if that's okay. And so she's like, well, I like jelly instead of peanut butter, all the things. And they're talking about work-life balance, okay? Because we learned that Emily is a person who likes to grind. And she said it sucks and she needs a routine. And Brennan says he does really well with that, so he can help her out with that, right? So here are more areas where we're seeing the balance right there that they're hoping to provide for each other. It seems like Emily may have just a lot of less structure in her life, right? There are some people who are more spontaneous. They just kind of flow through life. It feels like that is Emily. And Brennan, even how Emily described him at the after party, he seems to be very structured and likes to have things, right? She said he likes to feel in control. And so she was talking about that. That made me think of him mentioning his dad and how his dad drinks a lot, likes to be in control, like all these things. I'm like just kind of sitting with them, wondering like, is this really shaping of how he shows up because of his experiences as a child, right? But he's saying that he's a person who does like to grind. He likes to build. He wants to build for his family, and he's doing this because of that. And he's just been storing money away. And Emily says, well, I don't really budget. I don't do math. I don't understand it. I just work, and I just do what I want to do, right? And so she's accepting Brennan's help because she knows that's the area of growth for her. And she says she's open to it. I'm wondering how that's going to work when he says that we don't have money for something that she really wants to do. Like how is that going to sit with her if he's starting to budget her in areas that she's not liking. Like, what is that going to look like? And will there be some compromise? Because it really feels like also thinking for others is a new thing, right? So at the after party, she said that, she would get champagne for herself, but not for Brennan. And he would say, did you notice that, right? So she's open to it, right? She's open to it. Like there wasn't any, I don't feel like any attitude or angst around him saying that to her in that moment. And also at the same time, just when it comes to like sacrificing your wants and things like that, I wonder how that's going to sit with Emily. But they're excited about the fact that both of them have this like grinder inside of them, parts of them that are really ambitious and grind because they, hashtag power couple. That's what they would like. And we also see them and their activity as they are taking shots together. And oh, poor Brennan, he's struggling. Emily's she's taking him back, and she's like, no, you're gonna take these with me. And Emily shared that she used to be a partier, and Brennan's like, he stated that. It seems like he's very, very reserved. He has a part of him that's very reserved. I'm really sensing that, like when she stated that he likes to be in control. It's like some of these things that I feel that he has an issue with, he's not speaking to. And I'm wondering if it's because he is so smitten with Emily that he's just like, we'll work it. Like, we'll work through this. I don't know what's happening internally, but I'm just seeing like there's multiple things each episode that I know aren't sitting well with Brennan. And at the same time, he's like, we're going to keep at it. We're going to keep at it. And okay. And she's like, well, yeah, I used to be a partier, not anymore. Well, kind of. And Brennan said, that wasn't something that he did in college. And again, that's the way they balance themselves, right? That's what they're using. It feels like that's almost like a way that he's using to even cope with these differences that are so different, right, for him. So he's like, okay, this is how we'll balance each other, right? She said, yeah, because, I'm a bit emotional. And he said, well, I do have a little sappiness. I feel like Brennan is very emotional. I sense it. I sense that it's definitely like it's like he doesn't express them, right, all the time, but they're there. They're there. He has a part of him, it seems, that really tries to keep them under wraps, which I'm really curious about why that is. Emily, we know, is a person who speaks her mind and says the things she wants to say. Even at the after party, I don't know if you've seen the episodes, last few, where she is very verbal about her opinions and what happened and how she feels about what happened, and very vocal, right, around that. So she has a part of her that is very free to express, and he has a part of him that is more reserved in his expression. We see how these two are showing up for each other. Now, at the end of the episode, they're on the beach, and Emily's like, so, hey, like, how are we doing in the land of physical intimacy? And he's like, well, we're moving towards that. We're moving towards that. And she's like, okay. And I get the sense that she's ready. She's ready. She did say that she got some advice from her friends and family to let him take the lead on that. So she's trying to do that. And at the same time, she's like, I'm ready. But she seems to be taking it as best as she can, right? So they're moving along well. At the same time, this is still the honeymoon. It will be very interesting when they moved into the shared apartment, how these differences that they're naming balance and show up with each other. That's where I feel like the rubber is going to meet the road with this couple. But we shall see. Next, we have Claire and Cameron. Oh, boy. Okay. So the two of them, of course, are sitting with the other couples. And the couples are talking about like, oh, we're going to do some physical activities. And then Cameron jokes and he's like, yeah, because that's the goal, of the honeymoon, to do something physical. And oh my goodness, through the entire episode, there's a part of him that is very, very concerned about this happening, right? Or trying to do the things that he needs to do in order to make it happen. I'm wondering the meaning that's being attached to this physical intimacy for Cameron. I'm wondering what he feels like will be checked for him. What's happening internally from him around this, and also to what he feels like will happen if that doesn't happen, right? So, or in the time frame that he wants it to. He's saying that, and even later in the episode, that he's hoping it will happen on the honeymoon, right? The spark. He wants the spark to happen. He wants them to have this moment. And then Claire says, with no pressure, right? No pressure. And so Claire has this unique thing where she talks at a place that's very centered, and at the same time, like the heat underneath it, like the intensity, you feel it. You feel these words have some energy, and give to them. Like, I'm trying to communicate something to you that's very important, but I'm doing it in a very calm way, right? So it's, she's very measured in what she says, and at the same time, it's here, like it's ever here. She's communicating something all the time. Like whenever she's saying something, there's always something else she's saying at the same time. That is what I've seen and observed from Claire throughout this episode. Even when, right, they are talking in their confessionals, she's like, yeah, Cameron and I are just two different people, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. I feel like that is a part of her, again, that is just trying to, like, we can do this, right? We can get through this. And the part of Cameron, too, that's, like, very jealous about Becca and Austin's connection and wishing that him and Claire were more, more on the same page, had more synergy and connection. But they are, I don't know if they're even in the same book. I really don't feel like they are in the same book. And so this keeps showing up throughout the honeymoon, right? So next we see Claire. She's sitting on the balcony and she's like, I'm up. I'm an early riser, and Cameron's still asleep, right? So they have, seems like maybe opposite sleep cycles, which can also be a little interesting to work around. So she's waiting to have fun and have breakfast, but she's waiting for him, right? So I sense in that moment that there's some like irritation around that, right? And also I'm wondering too if there's a part of her that is like making meaning or putting judgment on him about the fact that he sleeps later, because it's just like that's almost like a cultural norm of like early bird gets the worm, those type of thoughts. And people do have different sleep cycles. Some people are night owls, some people wake up early in the morning. Like there's different sleep cycles, right? And so I'm wondering if she's making some meaning around that. Later we see he's fully dressed, and she has some very strong opinions about his garb and she is very vocal about it. And Cameron stated that they had a long conversation about physical intimacy, and he still feels like he's confused, actually even more confused after having this conversation, and doesn't know where Claire is in regards to that. He's still confused, but he's hearing her joke about his clothes and feels like that is a sign that she's still not comfortable. And I don't know if it's necessarily a sign that she's not comfortable. I feel like it's a part of her that is like trying to connect with him, and a part of her that is irritated a little with him. I feel like both of those things are happening. You let me know what you think, but that's what I'm feeling in this moment is happening. But she's definitely like poking fun, right? And even on the after party, everyone says like everybody pretty much made fun. They thought he worked at the resort. They call him their mascot, which I'm like, ooh, I wonder how he feels about that. But yeah, and the connection continues to be rocky, right? Now what we do see is they are paddle boating together, and Claire is saying like, oh, this is a good start. We're having fun doing this activity, right? And then after the activity, they're sitting with each other and like, high five, we didn't fall, great job. And so then Cameron's like, do you have anything you want to know about me? And Claire's like, huh? Right? So it feels like a part of him really doesn't know how to do communication, Like there's a part of him that really doesn't know how to do verbal communication well. I'm wondering if there was some things like he experienced younger, just maybe saying the wrong thing and then getting backlash around that, or being teased, or what, how kids can be, and now he's just like, I don't know what to say, right? And so maybe fumbles a lot in the area of verbal communication. And so he's like, well, I mean, you're still in school, right? You're still, not like still in school is a bad thing, but still in school. And she's like, yeah, I'm in my last year, my master's program, for counseling. And, I'm really excited about that. And she said, well, you fix bikes, right? Like, and she said, you're not bored with that? And what I feel is happening there for her, she would be bored fixing bikes. But for him, not so much. He also talked about how, like, even during the pandemic, how there was a lot of meaning made, because even for where I live, you could not find a bike during 2020, during the huge moment when the world completely stopped, right? And everyone had to be in their homes. If you needed a bike, you had to pay a pretty penny during that time, because that was a lot, right, for all of us to manage. And bikes were definitely how we use that to manage and navigate. She's like, yeah, because both, right? We're both like helping people's health, and we both have meaning and find meaning in that. As for her, that's something that's really important, to enjoy what she's doing and to love what she's doing. And so they are on a dinner date. And Cameron says, this is a great night for us to have some fun together. The emphasis on the fun word. I have a sense of what he means, or he may mean, right, with fun. It feels like there's a part of him that is like, really, like, this could be the night where the sparks happen, right? There's some hope, right, around that. And Claire is in her plate, and she's like, yeah, I'm enjoying myself, but I'm really knowing when I'm having fun when I'm laughing. And he's like, well, you laugh with me, right? And it seems like even there's a part of Cameron that's like, you like me, don't you? You like me, do you? And she's like, yeah, you're really goofy. And she's like, not goofy in a bad way, like goofy. I like goofy. I asked for goofy. And he said, no, I don't see goofy as a bad thing. She's like, great, yeah, because I have a tendency to be too serious because of the work that I do. I tend to be really serious, and so I need that in my life, right? And so she talked about, because I'm dealing with people's minds. That's so important. And yeah, do you go to a therapist? And he's like, well, as a kid, but not now. Why don't you? And then he said, well, you think about it, people. She said, no, not people. I'm asking you. So it's like a part of him trying not to answer the question, because he knew potentially that she wasn't going to like the answer. And he said, well, yeah, just kind of let things happen. And if paths cross, potentially, I might do therapy, depending on what happens in life, right? And she's like, so you just let things come to you. I get the sense in this moment what's happening is that a part of Claire doesn't like this answer. And that's what this fight is about. That's what this argument is about. It's really not about what it's about at all. Like, it ended up being like about ambition and drive, which I feel like what the issue or fight was about was like Claire having an opinion about Cameron's style of attacking issues and dealing with conflict and addressing them. Because there's been a lot of like dancing around the issue for these two. They haven't had just like a sit down of like, so what's happening, right? Cameron said that there was a conversation, but it doesn't feel like it was very clear. And let me tell you, there's a quote that says like, one of the biggest assumptions you can make is to talk and assume that you communicated, right? Or something to that degree, like that someone understood you and what you communicated was clear. That, because you can talk and still not communicate. And it feels like that's what these two are doing, talking but not communicating. They're not hearing each other. Again, I don't know if they're in the same book, because they're definitely not on the same page. And Claire is wanting Cameron to have the initiative. is similar. Because someone posted in the comments last week of, well, Claire could have asked Cameron to get her, to help her with her luggage, which I definitely agree, 100%. And I feel like she wants to see how Cameron's going to show up for her. She's like waiting. I don't know if, that's not a good, neither good nor bad thing. I feel like in a situation with a stranger marrying a stranger, that things do need to be communicated clearly, and that is not happening in with this couple, and it seems to be putting just more protection and distance between them two, to where now I really sense like Claire's like annoyed and agitated, and Cameron's almost like in this stage of like a little boy who's like, I can't do anything right. Like that's kind of the energy that this dinner felt like. And this is not what we want a honeymoon, right, to look like. They need to be just getting to know each other in a way that's not pressured. And it feels like there's a lot of pressure both ends. Claire's like wanting Cameron to show up like this. Cameron's wanting the physical intimacy, right? And they're wanting this instead of just putting those agendas aside and just being with each other and seeing what's there. So this is not boding well for them. And it's going to be interesting, very much so, in the shared apartment, what that's going to look like. So we shall see. Last, we have Lauren and Orion. Oh boy. All right. They start off so well, didn't they? They start off really well. Lauren, she verbally said multiple times through this episode that she's attracted to Orion. She sees like he's very sweet. They're connecting really well. There are moments where they're having in the water with each other and just really seeing and getting to know each other. They're enjoying this process. She says she feels lucky that he's so considerate. He's really enjoying just getting to know her world, getting to know her. And they're both still really wanting the foundation of intimacy to be really great and like firm. So then when they want to go and take that step into the physical realm, that it'll just be like, whew, we're ready, right? They'll be ready to just go at it, right? Jump right in, dive into the pool, right? And so they're having these conversations and they're checking in with each other about the future and how they are planning to have one child and maybe adopt, and that Orion is really excited about this nurturing energy that Lauren has, and it's something that he would appreciate as a child. And so I'm like, okay, getting more. There's a part of me that's like, I'm wondering, like if mom was more of just like an authoritative kind of parent, even though she does seem pretty soft, but that's like her not in mom energy, right? So he's saying that's something he really would have appreciated as a young person. And Lauren's just saying like, oh, she really sensed that they both have a giving spirit, and any child that they would adopt would just, of course, benefit from that. And they're both feeling like, we got this, we do marriage well. When we need to communicate, we'll do that. And we know that everything's going to be great. The cultural discovery continues as Lauren shows Orion how to lay down edges. And it's a part of her hair care, which for Black women, our hair is so important to us and near and dear. They are having moments at the hammock with each other, and cheers to them doing this crazy thing together. They're still processing and can't believe that they've done. And also discussing gender roles and how they want some kind of fluidity in there, right? Like they have the firm foundation of, yes, I want you to be the provider and the man. And he's like, I want to do that for you. And also she's like, but I also want to support you. And he's like, well, I'll cook. And she said, well, I also too, as a woman, want to cook for you too, right? So there's some fluidity there, but they both still want to show up how, right, they're supposed to, right, in the more traditional gender roles. And then they have this huge moment, right, where they're continuing to discover each other's culture, and a oopsie happens. A oops, ouch moment happens, and whew, what I will say what I would say to this is what I really sense for Orion, that he was in it, right? This is a moment, and the term we use in internal family systems is called blended. When you are, a part of you has like taken over your body and it's in the driver's seat. It's making the decisions for you, right? So a part of him that's had anger consumed him, and he was in it. And it felt like he knew he was in it. He was aware of it. He even spoke to it at the after party, like he was trying to give her some grace, but this part was like, like, no, I'm upset. And Lauren, for her, which she did speak to, right? For the Black culture, I have a love-hate relationship with this part of us, but we do tend to laugh at our pain, right? And which can be very invalidating and dismissive, which is what Orion felt. And at the same time, it could also help to really take on and live through really painful things, right? And as Black people have had to do. And so how you protect yourself from your pain when you use that same method with someone else's pain and laugh it off, ooh, I mean, an ouch is inevitable. It's inevitable. Like, so if you deny your pain and then you deny somebody else's pain, ouch, right? If you minimize your pain, right, it's all good. It's okay. And you do the same to someone else, that's an ouch, right? But that's a part of how you've had to navigate and survive all of this. And that's what's showing up for these two. Orion did say that he is not holding it against her. And I'm also hoping that Lauren will not hold this against him as well. But this is a very rocky moment for both of them. And it seems like, unfortunately, the next episode, the rockiness continues. But we shall see if they're able to navigate this and really power through. You let me know. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about where these couples are. And if you are still with us, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered. Peace.